Hello and welcome to Week 5, Unit 5, Performance and Debugging. In the last few weeks, you would have all learned how to create an add-on solution in Cloud Application Studio, understood many of the artifacts that can be used as part of the Cloud Studio. Now, it's also really important once you develop your add-on, how better the performance of the add-on is. You should ensure that your add-on is no way hampering the whole Cloud Application Studio which you have plugged into. The add-on you build should not adversely affect the overall performance of the solution. You have to be really careful in each and every step when you create the objects and make sure that there are no redundancies and then your code runs smooth, and as I mentioned already, it shouldn't adversely impact the overall solution performance, which means the BID as a cloud solution. It's important that you run the performance check both at the solution level and also at the each and every object level to get an idea of what are the suggestions that the studio can give to you with respect to your code. Based on these suggestions, you could make the changes, adjust the changes, enhance your code and ensure that you have a better code to work. Next important point to keep in mind is whenever you work with mass data run objects, or in other words MDROs, you should ensure that you schedule them diligently and then shouldn't hamper the system performance. Most of the times we have seen that people schedule them very often, which means the system load has gone really high and because of which the system performance is affected. So, please make sure that your scheduling of the MDROs is really matching with the customer business need and do not run it as and when required. So, it is also a good practice to enable the split assembly functionality when you are actually downloading a solution. I already spoke about it while I was creating or showing you the lifecycle management topic. If you have to deal with a big solution, it is really important to understand okay, you use the split assembly functionality rather than directly going with the assemble and download function in a single click of a button. So, this really helps to split the actions in 3 steps, and it also runs in the background. It saves a lot of time and you are free to use your Cloud Studio when these actions are being performed in the studio, because it is a background job. Again, another functionality that I want to mention here is scoping of your delta activation of analytics, which is a very new, comparatively new functionality which was introduced in Cloud Studio, which actually reduce the overall time consumption of the solution activation. This is also a BC option that you get it if you scope it, and once you move the solution, ship the solution to the customer, you just have to ensure that your source and target tenant has this question already scoped, and based on this a delta activation is triggered rather than a full activation of the solution, which in turn saves a lot of time with respect to the whole solution activation. Again, as a partner or customer, it is a good practice always to create some function and technical documentation of the add-on that you have already created, which helps the users of the solution to understand what it is. So, in later stage if there are issues, you can always go back and refer, and it makes your life easy to really improve the solution if required in the future. I have also given a link on the blog which is actually helps you with some advanced performance tips. You can go through it at your leisure and then gain some good understanding on how it is going to help with your performance. Moving on, in Cloud Studio, when we talk about performance and debugging, it is important to understand how the debugging works in Studio and what tracing is. So, debugging, as you all know, helps to identify logical errors in the code and monitor the runtime behavior of your code. You could set or delete breakpoints at certain places in the script to examine how the code works in your runtime. Tracing, on the other hand, is used to record information about the execution of a code at the runtime. You have an option, you have something called as a Trace Explorer as part of your Cloud Studio. This is a tool for gathering and analyzing diagnostic information, which could be a local trace or an incident trace, or you could even run a trace for a business user. Now let me just quickly jump into the studio. So here we are in the Cloud Application Studio for the demo. So in the previous weeks, last few weeks, you all learned about how to create business object and various other SDK artifacts through Cloud Studio. So I am going to explain you, so give you some tips and tricks how to make your code better, work better, and improve the performance of the code. So you know that we have already created a job profile view in the previous units. So I am going to open a code event after modify. So let me just right click and do a run performance check here. I go to error list. So you can see here in the error list window there are two suggestions. Basically use isset to check the value returned by association to root saved in variable root. So this is one suggestion I am getting when I run the performance check, which I could simply do it here. If root dot set I have included that. I will save and activate now this piece of code. Yes, it's activated. Let's run the performance check again. Yeah, now we could see the first suggestion is gone because we already implemented the suggested changes. Again you have a similar changes. So let's see this, what this is. Use isset to check the value returned by association current comment saved in variable root. So here I am getting the business partner formatted name by associating from root to current comment of the business partner BO. So here I have the code handy. So let me just paste this code and explain to you how this work. So I put this code here. So here I am assigning this to a new variable current comment and using the isset method here and directly using current comment, the new variable that I created to the business partner formatted name. So that was the second suggestion. I am just saving and activating this again, and once this is activated, let's again run the performance check. Yeah, so it says no suggestions for performance improvement were found. So we have implemented both the suggestions that were suggested for the betterment of this code. So so that is the event after modify. Let me also quickly open even before save. We also have even before save as part of this PO. So do a run performance check at this level. Yeah, so it's done. So there are no suggestions basically here for this. Even before save, this means it's perfect. We do not have anything else to be improved, and the code is good enough here. So that's something which I wanted to show. Coming later, what I also want to tell you is you would have also learned in the previous weeks how to create a custom or use the custom reuse library. As part of it, you created another identity app cell. So let's, as part to just to demo to you, I have kept some sample code here. Let me just uncomment that and then save and activate. Yeah, it's activated. Let's do a performance check here. Yeah, it already gives you 4 warnings. Basically it says current default has contact person association has been used earlier in this script. We recommend that you define it in a local variable once and reuse it. Yep, so you already have it in check 1, and in check 2 again you are duplicating it basically. So what you could do is to make it to avoid this redundancy, you could remove this and use check 1 here directly. So yeah, and you can just save and activate this code. Yeah, it's activated. Let's check. Yes, So, that has gone now. This is something similar what we did in the event after modify earlier, something similar to that you could again do using the ESET method. So, yeah, that is what I wanted to show you as part of the performance. Now, when it comes to debugging, we also learned how important is it to use debugging. So, to debug your code, let me just close this and then use my event before saving the job profile BO and see how it works. So, the very first step would be to go to administration in options and settings and ensure that you are using the right user, set this business user which you are going to log into the UI. So, I am going to use administration 01, so I have set it there. I just say click on OK, you can just basically set the breakpoint anywhere. Not anywhere, if you just try to keep it in the import namespace, it says that it is not the right point. So, it basically starts from here at executable code. So, now I have set it, I have set my user, I can just start my debugger and it gives me a pop-up asking debugging requires the runtime objects to be up to date. So, I have already activated and kept my code, so I do not need it. So, I will just click on no. So, you could see your debugger is been started. So, let me go to the UI now. I will just go to the job profile view, and so here I have some records already created earlier. I select one of my record and then say click on edit. Basically, I modify some record here and then click on save. So, now you can see it has hit the debugger here. So, now to go to the next line, next executable code, you can either use the F10 in your keyboard or do step over here. You can see it goes to the next line. You can further go to the next line here, and this way you could see, and at any point if you want to come out of it, you can just say step out. The next button here, what you see in the toolbar, you can just say step out. You have come out of the code already and your entries have been saved with the new. Okay, so this way you could debug your code if this is required. So, for now I will close this, I will come back here and just stop my debugger. This way you could easily debug your code and also check it in your watch list on the local window which comes up, what are the variables that gets captured. So, this is all, it is a short demo. I just wanted to show you how the debugger works. You could explore further whenever your code does not work, or just to get the runtime value, you could use it, set the breakpoint at the right line and then start debugging. With this, I complete my demo. So, what we have done, just to summarize, I just gave you some quick tips and tricks on the performance and debugging in the Cloud Application Studio, and just showed you how to debug a small piece of code, explained you about a trace explorer and debugger, and as part of the demo again we saw how you can run the performance check and the best practices. There are videos and blogs available, you could go through them. Please ensure that performance is the highest importance topic for you when you develop your add-on, and keep this in mind, and I hope this demo was useful. You should be able to deliver really good code as part of your add-on development. Thank you. Bye bye.